Hi y'all, it's Lisa. Welcome to my channel, She Raven. On this channel we talk about true crime, spooky, ghosts, paranormal, just stuff like that, just whatever interests me at the moment. So if you're interested in any of those kind of things, just please like and subscribe. I'm slowly building my channel. I'm sure it's going to take a while, but I'm in it for the long run. Sometimes it's hard for me to find time to do content, but I'm here and I'll be here. So just join me whenever I'm here. I'm going to try to do things on a more consistent basis, but I have to get into the groove of that. It's so hard, with the kids and everything, and cooking dinner and cleaning and, just kid activities, all that mommy stuff. It's just hard sometimes. But please like and subscribe when I do upload content. You'll be able to see it, and you'll also help me in the rankings and just kind of help me move on up. um, like I said, it's still spooky season. I'm not sure if I said that, but it is still spooky season. I started off a little bit late. I'm so sorry for that. The first week I was terribly sick. I was sick for about 4 days, and then after that I was still recovering from being sick. And it's been crazy because this is my third sickness since August. I think it's because the kids have started school again. And then I just recently burnt myself. That was last week. And I gave myself a third-degree burn. Yay. No, not yay. It's really painful. Um, and I went to urgent care for that last week Sunday. So it's just it hurts really bad, and it's gonna leave the worst scar. It's huge. So I'm not really looking forward to that scar either. Um, since I did start spooky season a little bit late, or a lot late, because it's almost Halloween right now. I'm gonna go ahead and just do smaller segments. I mean, I really wasn't too sure what I was gonna do, but I'm gonna do smaller segments, just little tiny tidbits here and there. So I'm doing one on the real Annabelle, and I recently bought this doll, and I was thinking about, hey, what am I gonna do? And I realized, hey, I'm gonna do the doll. So the actual Annabelle was a Raggedy Ann doll. So I have this one that I'm reselling. I love dolls. I absolutely adore dolls. And she's so beautiful. I think she's vintage. I'm not 100% sure if she's vintage, but I have a pretty good idea. I've had a lot, and I deal with a lot of dolls. I can just tell by the different features that she has, like the stitched mouth, the stitched nose, the stitched eyes, just the clothing. She doesn't have tags, but she's really, really gorgeous. This one wasn't a child's toy because she's in really great condition. She's either vintage or she was handmade by an adult, and probably an adult collector, because like I said, she hasn't been played with or messed with or anything like that. So I'm going to do the smaller segments on that, and I'm going to put her down. And I'm also going to go ahead and do smaller segments on just spooky Texas stories. So I went ahead and I bought this book, and it's Spooky Texas, and I thought this is exactly what I'm looking for, because I wanted to do something about Texas. I'm not originally from here, so I had to really kind of research it. I wanted to do something about Texas, just, incorporate the whole Texas theme, and just spooky stories. So these are going to be really quick stories. These are going to be maybe 5-10 minutes at the most. I'm going to try to just consistently bang them out, so to speak, before spooky season is over, just so that I have some content here. And yeah, so like I said, like and subscribe. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read the first story, and go ahead and grab a drink, stick your AirPods in, just kind of relax. I've already got the atmosphere here nice and dark. It's starting to get dark outside. It's still pretty early, but it's starting to get dark outside. So I understand that it kind of makes me all pixelated and stuff, but I figure that's probably really good for the whole spooky thing. So let me go ahead and read the story. So, like I said, lay back, listen, relax. The story is going to be probably less than 10 minutes if I can keep my mouth shut about everything else. Okay, so this one is The Lady in the Veil. So this is Brownsville, Texas. The Lady in the Veil. He had not expected to meet the woman of his dreams walking home from the weekly card game at his neighbor's, but he had. She was strolling along in the moonlight beside the wrought iron fence of the cemetery, and she seemed to sparkle with a heavenly light that glinted off her dark hair, glimpsed just faintly under the old-fashioned hat with a veil that she wore on her head. Her figure, wrapped in a lacy black dress, was to die for, and Carlos quickened his pace until he was level with her, hoping for a glimpse of her face under the veil. "Buenos noches, señorita," Carlos murmured huskily in the most romantic tone he possessed. "Buenos noches, señor," she returned politely, and her soft voice sent shivers up his spine. Oh, this one was a keeper, he thought. Oh, see, she was. Carlos made a few remarks about the beautiful night and the lovely weather, anything to keep her talking. To his surprise, she stopped abruptly when they reached the end of the wrought iron fence and turned to face him. He caught a glimpse of dark eyes glinting behind the veil, and in the moonlight he saw that her lips were blood red. The full moon cast odd shadows over her lovely form. "What is it you want from me, senor?" she asked. Carlos beamed at her. "A date, senorita? Just a date? I want to see you again." She paused for what Carlos considered a second too long. Then she said, "I do not know. Let me think about it." Carlos's heart sank. She had responded so well to his conversational overtures. Perhaps she didn't think him handsome enough. Then she said, "Ask me again, in this place, at this time tomorrow night, and we shall see." Carlos's heart leapt in his chest. So she was just playing hard to get. Well, fair enough. She was worth the courting. And perhaps tomorrow he would get a glimpse behind the veil covering her lovely features. He kissed her hand and then floated away, leaving her standing beside the cemetery gate. So what if she wasn't ready yet to show him where she lived? He would see her tomorrow. Then she would fall into his arms. Carlos could hardly sleep that night. He was so excited. As soon as it was lit, he was on the phone to his cousin Diego, who lived next door, to tell him about the lovely woman he had met the previous night. Diego was less than thrilled by the early morning call, but being a good friend, he dutifully asked him the girl's name. "Rosa." Carlos practically sang the name into the receiver. "Her name is Rosa." He filled in the details, the meeting by the cemetery, the lady playing hard to get, the second chance today. Diego did not seem as enthusiastic as his cousin would wish, but Carlos put this down to his having awakened him from a deep sleep. The day dragged by for the infatuated Carlos, and he had trouble concentrating on his work. But at last he was free and running the few blocks to his home to change into an outfit suitable for romancing a lovely lady. He could barely contain himself, and when he reached the wrought iron fence by the cemetery a few minutes early, Rosa was not there yet. But Carlos wasn't bored. He entertained himself by picturing his beautiful bride in their new home, cooking an elegant meal for all of their friends. And suddenly Rosa was there in front of him, as if she had appeared out of nowhere. She was still dressed in black and wore the same hat with the veil. The moon was almost full that night, and it sparkled off the sequins dotting her veil. Carlos was enchanted. They talked for hours, standing in front of the fancy fence, ignoring the statues and gravestones in the background. Rosa was as witty as she was beautiful, and Carlos begged her for a date. This time she relented. "We'll go out tomorrow night," she said. "I will send you a letter with a place and time." Carlos kissed her hand and floated away again, so happy he wanted to sing for joy. He paused at the edge of the fence to look back at Rosa, but she had vanished as quietly as she had appeared. But he would see her tomorrow. Carlos was absolutely useless at work the next day. All he could think about and talk about was his Rosa. He was already planning their wedding, and they hadn't even had their first date. His colleagues teased him, but he was too happy to notice. After work, he rushed home and found a letter in his mailbox. Eagerly he read it, not pausing to wonder, how did Rosa know where he lived? Then he ran next door to show it to Diego. His cousin read the note and turned pale white with shock when he saw the signature. "Carlos," Diego cried. "This girl, Rosa Gonzalez, she died in a car crash last year. I'm sure of it." "Don't be ridiculous," Carlos snapped. "There are many girls with the same name. This is a different Rosa." "See? Then why does she want to meet you at the cemetery tonight?" "Because that is where we met before," Carlos replied. "Honestly, Diego, I thought you would be happy for me. Don't slander my girlfriend before you haven't even met her." "Girlfriend? You haven't even taken her out on a date yet," Diego shot back. But he knew his cousin well and backed off before Carlos stormed out of the house. Still, something in his cousin's words had affected Carlos. As he dressed for this date, he thought about what Diego said. Had it been mere jealousy on Diego's part? Or was something wrong with Rosa? Then, remembering her sparkling voice, her lovely figure, and her mysterious face behind the black veil, Carlos forgot his apprehensions and hurried out to meet his girl, not knowing that his worried cousin followed behind him. Carlos bounced through the intricately designed gate of the cemetery and over to the large gravestone decorated by an angel. And there was his Rosa, lovely in the light of the moon. "At last we go out," he cried to her. "But first, my Rosa, show me your lovely face." At his words, Rosa turned her face up to her suitor and pulled aside the veil. Back at the gate, Diego gave a gasp of shock, for she had the face of a skeleton, all bone and withered flesh, but he was frozen to the spot by the power of the evil specter, unable to move or even shout a warning to his cousin. Looking down upon his Rosa, Carlos only saw the glamour the ghost was projecting. He swept the gruesome figure into his arms and kissed her. It was only a skeleton's withered arm that encircled him, trapping him within her embrace. Then the veil on his eyes was lifted, and he realized in one heart-stopping moment the abomination he was kissing. And then the ground opened up beneath them, and with a laugh of triumph, the specter pulled him down and down into her tomb. The earth closed with a clasp like thunder over Carlos and Rosa. Diego, freed from the ghost's spell, ran into the cemetery, shouting his cousin's name in terror. But it was too late. By the time the grave was excavated by the horrified, disbelieving family, Carlos was dead. Locked for all time, in Rosa's arms. Ooh, spooky. You know, it's kind of funny because as I was reading through the story, I thought to myself, why do they keep meeting in the graveyard? But then I thought to myself, I love graveyards. I mean, I really do. I love graveyards. I love going to graveyards. I love looking around at the different graves and just kind of wondering what the people were like and just looking at the time period. So, I don't know. But then, being at the graveyard at night. But, anyways, it's a spooky story. So, spooky stories are always fun, they're always great. And that one, I liked it. I liked it. I thought it was really, really well written and it's just pretty good. So definitely join me next time for the next spooky story. I will try to upload one tomorrow also. I'm going to try to just continue to roll out the spooky stories to finish off the spooky season real strong, like I said before. Please, please, please like and subscribe, and that will help me out a whole lot. And I'll see y'all later. Bye.